Hello and welcome to the Kingdom Podcast. My name is Jacko, and today we're going to be doing a podcast on April 8th of 2021. I believe this is episode 11. I want to remind you that you can find this podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, etc., etc. If you want to watch some of the YouTube videos and you're not already aware of the YouTube channel, it's The Kingdom. Got a blue K with pink text for a logo. Also, I'd like to remind you that all videos, including this one, were recorded live within the Discord. An invite link to the Discord server is as follows. VNC8, capitalized E, Z, capitalized S. That's VNC8, capitalize E, Z, and capitalize S. If you want to join the Discord server, come on over. Like I said, we're recording this video live as part of a new feature that we're testing out, where we record podcasts and videos, as well as streams live within the Recording Live VC. Basically means that any of you can attend as the recording's being done, listen to stuff early. Right now it's not a Patreon exclusive, but for the foreseeable future it may very well be. Last podcast I talked about a few things. Talked about an upcoming review of Monster, which is taking a little bit longer than I expected, but it will be coming out as long as things go the way it is planned. Additionally to that, I talked about a Drifters review, which is same progress as the Monster review, and a Cowboy Bebop review. Still organizing the script on the Cowboy Bebop and Drifters review. I've already watched the series in completion, all their episodes that are available, and all I have to do is format my notes into a proper script. Not sure how those videos are going to be doing, but we'll see. The last video I also talked about an SCP channel being annoyed by short form animations. Some people were confused about that particular episode and that particular comment because there was no link to the said video in the description as per usual. One of the added benefits of watching this on YouTube or listening to this through YouTube is you can find a link to everything mentioned in both the description and pinned comment below. So if you want to do further research or get your own opinions on some of the topics that I or those with me discuss, you can find them there. And so yeah, a few people were confused about what that was. Turns out the guy deleted the video, not as a response of my podcast episode, of course, but I'm assuming out of a community response. In that podcast, I mentioned a SCP channel. In case you don't know what SCP is, it stands for Secure, Contain, Protect. Secure, Contain, Protect. And they are short form thriller / horror stories written in the form of a doctor's note. It's very interesting. There are plenty of videos on YouTube to watch, as well as you can just go to the SCP Foundation website, the official website, and read through them. I recommend just listening to the YouTube videos. It's a lot more calming. It's kind of like an audiobook. Regardless, one of the bigger SCP channels on YouTube, they're known as SCP readers, is Volgan. And this particular SCP channel that I was talking about, as I mentioned, was annoyed by short form animations, talking about it killing the SCP fandom on YouTube by having that short form being promoted over their long-term videos. What was really surprising is the number one, or arguably number one, SCP channel is known as Volgan, which even this particular person, who I will not name once again, labeled as being number one, has started making SCP animations. So honestly, I think every one of my comments I made regarding the SCP channel and that particular video's opinions, I think are still fine. Just going over some of my notes. I always write notes before I do podcasts so I can double check. Oh yeah, I talked about Bon Appetit. It's a good YouTube channel. My opinion still stay the same even a full month later. Speaking of monthly, or month later, we're gonna do 1 to 2 podcasts a month. We're gonna try and keep that up. That was one of the older formats that we wanted to do, and we did it for a while. We did really well, and then we stopped for almost half a year. We take these really weird breaks. I would almost consider them seasons at this point, considering it's happened twice. Anyways, I could talk about the YouTube channel some more, and I will. So we have some new Explain series, new series in general coming. A specific new Explain series would be one based on games. It may receive its own new title rather than just another part of the Explain series. Most likely not, just because it makes it easier. I'm going to be starting with the game Oddworld Abe's Odyssey, which is a personal favorite of mine. These videos will not have reviews in them. They will not have personal attachments. It'll be facts as much as possible. And we're going to be taking the format that we do with the anime and movie explains and using it with games. I think it will work. Hopefully it does. You guys will have to give me your opinions when that video comes out. In case you've missed some of the streams, which every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday from 12 to 2 p.m. EST being Eastern Standard Time, a stream on Twitch. It's The Kingdom 2026. I believe it's underscore 2026. That's The Kingdom underscore 2026. I stream Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays for 2 hours from 12 to 2 p.m. EST. And during one of said streams, I mentioned being in the process of writing the Hunter x Hunter script. I also mentioned that in the recent director's cut video, which was on JoJo Bizarre's Adventure, voiced by Skittles. That script is now done. It's 6 pages long, so it's going to be a lengthy video when it comes out. You should look forward to that being next week sometime. I'm trying to, in case you're unaware of why you get a lot of Explain series and then suddenly you get a director's cut in a podcast, well, we try to keep a rhythm where we separate the Explained series with a bit of non-Explained series content in order to not specify our audience and get stuck in the rut of anime or the Explained series in general. We want to try and have fresh air in it constantly, but also because it gives me a moment to write these scripts. The Hunter x Hunter one alone took me maybe two or 3 weeks to write, and now I'm going to be working on Abe's Odyssey, so that might take me another week or two. So I don't know. You'll probably get Hunter x Hunter, and then a Redux, and then another director's cut, and possibly a podcast. I'll keep you guys posted. Speaking of director's cut, the next one to come out will be on Konosuba. That's one of our older videos. We're trying to get the older ones out of the way. As it looks right now, as I mentioned, I'm recording this on April 8th of 2021. It's looking like I'll be able to record that video with Arvid, who is the person who voiced that video. I believe they go by a different name now, which I just want to give quick comments about. If you want to become popular on the internet, which is based on statistics I see almost every other day, is becoming an increasingly greater passion and long-term goal for people to become popular on the internet, or to become like a YouTuber, for example. Do not change your name. Pick a name and continue with that name. You end up screwing your brand. And I feel like a lot of people at the start don't realize that. Like, I've stuck with Jacko for a very, very long time. Jacko 2026, I've stuck for a very long time. And people know me as Jacko now. They know me as 2026. You gotta stick to it. Anyways, I think that's enough for talking about the YouTube channel and for the previous podcast. Alright. So let's start off with some new stuff. here's something. These notes are a bit dated, but I want to talk about it. So there was a recent controversy regarding Game Grumps, in that Daniel Avidan of the duo, the gaming duo, the gaming duo, was claimed to be a pedophile of sorts. Um, I I saw a lot of the information. It seems like it's not the case. I'm not a legal advisor. I'm not a lawyer of any kind, so I'm not going to go into that depth into whether or not he is an actual pedo. But I wanted to mention it's super easy to think the worst of the best these days, given the ongoing global pandemic, as well as just everything in general. I've been recently watching some videos by Toast. I'm not sure what the full name is. He's a Twitch streamer and YouTuber. Oh no, I don't believe he's Twitch. I think he's on Facebook Live or something now. I don't know. But he plays with someone known as Sykkuno. Or at least that's how I know Sykkuno. And I would describe him as a cutesy, adorable boy, I guess. And I think it's these type of characters that are made on YouTube that everyone loves in the same way that they love a dog. No, I'm not calling Sykkuno a dog, right? I'm not calling Dan a dog. I'm giving them the characteristics of a loving pet or a family pet, which could be attributed to a child in the same way. You know, I'm just thinking pets come to mind first. So everyone just holds them to such high regards just for their cutesy nature, and I find it so strange. I feel like it happens more and more these days, where you have someone who is seen publicly as crisp and clean, and then the minute that someone drops any kind of bomb to say the contrary, everyone wants to believe that. It's so bizarre. I guess it's human nature to want to do that, honestly. I don't really understand it. Also, I wanted to talk about how everyone complains about Twitter. I understand it. I use Twitter frequently. My handle is at jacko_226. And the reason I'm bringing this up is primarily because in order to credit the people who voice videos, I typically use their Twitter and promote their Twitter at the beginning and end of videos. It's a small graphic, and I have them say their Twitter at the end of the video as well. And so many people talk shit about Twitter, and I think the biggest issue is that info gets so watered down on Twitter. It's so hard every single time there's a topic that's being discussed to find the OP or original post. I feel like it's every single week I see something that's a controversial topic, you know, something to do with the ongoing global pandemic and masks or whatever. It's at least a recent one, or you have stuff with BLM and you go and click on it and you read through it, and it's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of messages of people just talking shit about the hashtag. And you gotta go so fucking deep to try and find where the original hate began. I think it's fucking insane and hilarious at the same time that this keeps happening. I believe I've mentioned this before. If you want to kill an online personality or an idea, if you want to crush something online, you know, an opinion or a character, or as I said, a personality, and this is going to seem controversial, you simply don't talk about it. Let it die like ash in the wind. This shit happens all the time, where you have a topic that's only being fueled by people who hate it. It doesn't make sense to me. It happens over and over and over again. where people will say something that's kind of fucked up, and that person might quickly say that it's fucked up, and they'll get banned or some shit, or justice will be served in some format, something will be done about it, and then fucking hashtag gets bigger and bigger and bigger, just because people want to put their fucking clout in and talk shit about something that everyone agrees is fucking stupid. And then you go on the news and people say, oh my god, this hashtag about something racist, or this fucking video about something racist got this many views, or this many retweets, or this many comments, this many likes. It's this constant violent cycle of we all fucking hate it, but we just can't shut the fuck up. I feel like that's one thing that most people don't do anymore. They don't know when to be quiet. So I'll admit, even as a child, I was taught, if the bully comes to you, you walk away. I don't know what everyone else was taught, but that's what it was. You walk away, you tell somebody, or you don't tell somebody, whatever. You get the fuck out of there. Done. Sometimes I thought that was bullshit, but in regards to shit like this, where you have stuff like Game Grumps, like it seemed like almost immediately there's evidence to the contrary of the original post concerning these accusations against Dan Evidan. It seemed so bizarre to me that it was continuing. Then I realized it's the same shit every single fucking time. It's this formula that I think there's Twitter accounts that call it the ratio, or getting ratioed, which I believe. I'm not old, all right? Let me get that straight. I'm not some fucking grandpa sitting in a basement. I don't know what you guys think I look like. Actually, I'd like to know what you think I look like. What's your perception of what body fits my voice? I'd like to know that. Fan art and all that shit's fun. But I don't fully understand what getting ratioed means. But my interpretation is that you feed into a system. Like you're baiting it. You're baiting the system to retweet and like and comment your shit. And I think this happens over and over again. And this Dan Evidan one, which was just a recent one that hit home for me, because I love the Game Grumps. I'm not one of those people that's incredibly inspired and would piss myself if they showed up at my door. I'm not that kind of a person. Like I can't think. Like I love doing YouTube. I've talked about it. I love Disco Ballad. That motherfucker can make a video at any fucking point about any fucking topic, and I will love it. It's a great fucking editor, and I'm going to link his channel again in the description and pinned comment. If you're not listening to this on YouTube, it's Disco Ballad. Ballad being Ballad. I believe they're Japanese. Not 100% certain. Not 100% certain. So I'm not one of those people who goes pissing themselves. I just watched Game Grumps a lot when I was younger. And so it just hit me harder. And then it just fucking blew my fucking gasket. There's the same fucking ratio bullshit that keeps fucking happening. And there's nothing Twitter can do about it. It's not Twitter's issue. Everyone blames Twitter when this shit happens. Like, it's not... Like, another thing I saw was about Google, right? If you search up idiots, you get like shit like Donald Trump or Biden or some shit, right? And then everyone thinks that that somehow Google, this massive fucking corporation, this motherfucker is sitting in a locker with a computer and is doing all this fancy shit so that idiot gets paired with these two people and it gets all political and that's someone's intention. In reality, it's people making the system, like feeding into the system. Like Twitter is a bare bones piece of shit that just lets you put messages up on a board. That's it. Everything else has nothing to do with them. That's what people add to it. But it's so weird that so many people blame Twitter. Someone said something racist. How can Twitter allow this? Motherfucker. There are so many fucking tweets, so many videos on YouTube, so many channels on Twitch going on over and over again. I think Twitch is one of the ones that blows my gasket the most, because you have all these people who complain about titty streamers. And listen, I'll admit, I got nothing wrong with titty streamers. You know? If you want to show a bit of the hanging meat, if you want to show a bit of the display, you know, the old 1 and 2, the old knockers, the bahongalongalongs, where the fuck the meme is. If you want to show that shit, go ahead. I don't understand. Like, it's the same thing as a dude showing off his abs. A girl showing a bit of cleavage is the same as a guy showing his abs. You know? And I don't understand all these people blowing up on them and then blowing up on Twitch for allowing some chick to wear a bikini and then swim around a pool and call it just chatting. Why the fuck is that, like, Twitch is it? Like, I don't... Yeah, sometimes these podcasts are very ranty. I will admit, the last one I somehow managed to connect everything. Like, my notes are a little bit off today. Like, I just want to talk about game rooms and then move on to personalities and everything. I just don't. Someone needs to sit down. See, this is something that doesn't happen as well. Nobody sits down and listens to each other. Nobody wants to shut the fuck up and let the other person speak and then take their turn. Sometimes that's not intent. You know, sometimes people do want to do that, or they're trying to do that, and it doesn't happen. I can't tell you how many times I've started typing, sent a message in a discussion, or an argument, whatever you want to call it, and then they sent it at the same time, and then we're basically talking over each other. I don't know. Online world's crazy. And to anyone who thinks that the online world isn't the real world, or you gotta get out in the real world, if you spend too much time on your computer looking at Twitter, that is the real world. Those are real people. Those people are make-believe fucking like Gringotts workers from Harry Potter or some shit. Like, they aren't some fucking weird organization that sits in the shadows of the real world. Those are the real people. If you say that the internet is not the real world, you're saying that every fucking company that's ever been on there, every individual that's made money off the internet or anything, fuck them. They don't exist. It's another thing that I saw, or I realized recently, I wanted to point out that I've realized for a while now. The easiest way to get people to hate something is to become that thing and say something awful. I'm not someone who follows a lot of what super left media or jokesters would call alt-right Twitter accounts. People who post weird fucking, like, you know, Stone Toss. Saw some video about him today. I don't follow him. Like, I don't know the full story behind that. It doesn't interest me. There's this level where politics can be funny, but then you just do it over and over again, and then it just is like, I get the point. I would like something new, you know? I don't want the same thing over and over again. I don't know. But there was one particular thing I saw. I follow an account that's the Horny Police. And it's funny. Occasionally it's funny. Most of the time I want to fucking unfollow it because it has really cringy shit. Sometimes borderline criminal shit it retweets. But basically what the Horny Police Twitter account does is it finds tweets or comments to tweets or retweets or anything that would be deemed as horny. So some form of sexual attraction that is beyond normal. For those that don't understand horny. And either they liked, or an account that follows them, or some other bullshit fucking way that Twitter got it to me, liked a post about or retweet a post about some woman, or supposed woman, talking shit about men's emotions and feelings and how they don't deserve it. And I was thinking to myself, it would be very, very, very easy for someone who is hyper anti-feminism, whether that's male or, there are women who are anti-feminist. It's true. I've met some. Some women want to stay in the system that they're in right now. Why? I don't fucking know. I'm not them. Don't ask me. Ask them. I have no fucking clue. Regardless, they exist. And I thought to myself, man, it would be so easy for someone who's incredibly sexist to make an account. Say that because I thought of this because the account had like 6 tweets before this one. They were like nothing, just pictures and basic comments. And I thought to myself, it'd be so easy for some sexist pig to make this account, pretend they're a woman, right? Pretend they're just a normal, average, everyday woman, and then tweet something like that is obviously there to cause an argument, and then do so in the hopes of further dividing those who identify as male and seek to be part of the feminist wave. I believe this is the 4th wave, might be 5th, I'm not 100% certain, but this new wave of feminism to try and drive a divider between supporting male characters in said movement. There's so many things like that. Like, when the whole BLM shit was going on, I thought the exact same thing. Get all these people talking weird shit about George Floyd or some other dead dude on the street. There was that one fuck that crossed the state lines and had a gun he wasn't supposed to. But all the other shit, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't bother looking it up. But saw a lot of stuff like that when that was going on, which wasn't that long ago. And like, it's super easy. Like, for the BLM, it might be a clearer example than when I just have the feminist movement. Make a profile, and I'm not going to give you, and this isn't a tutorial of how to do this. I'm just explaining to you. This is why I'm a skeptic. I don't trust people. I'm very distrusting of other people. If you think I trust you, you're fucking wrong. You're dead wrong. Just because I'm nice to you or I'm friendly doesn't mean I trust you. That's just the way I grew up. That's just the way I am. So I'm hyper skeptical of everything. But I'm not like some anti-vaccination fucking dickhead or whatever. I just don't. You just gotta prove it to me. You know, I'm not gonna give you positive points right from the get-go. You started 0 in my book and have to work your way up to 100. That's just my books. But if you take the BLM movement, all you have to do, make an account. Go on Google. Find a picture of a black person, you know? Make a couple posts. Talk about the BLM movement. Then make one really fucked up tweet. Just talking the most fucking heinous shit imaginable. Then everyone starts thinking every BLM protester is an absolute sack of shit because of the one thing that you said. You end up becoming this fucking model for the whole organization. And this happened so many times during the major BLM movement that happened in 2020, where there would be like spray paint that said BLM on the side of a school or something, right? And I'm not trying to get super political here. This is just trying to explain my skepticism that I never got to explain what was going on, because I would just talk about it in the Discord and be like, I don't believe that right away, and then some people got pissed at me, but I'm trying to explain myself. It's very easy to buy a can of spray paint, go to the side of a hospital, a church, a school building, and then, in the example of BLM, paint the letters BLM on the side. Of course, everyone with two fucking pennies to rub together inside their head is going to think that that's attributed to the BLM and that someone doing that was part of the BLM, and it wasn't some fucking hit piece on the BLM. It was actual people that wanted to spread a message as part of that organization. You know, it's just too fucking easy. And it works exceptionally, especially, excuse me, it works really well on the internet. And like I just said, sometimes IRL, as long as you don't get caught in the act. I think there was one or two people that did it, and they spray painted someone's garage door with BLM or the anarchy symbol or something. This is like, the internet has really, don't let your parents, don't let your guardians, don't let anyone tell you that video games can't teach you shit. So I feel like I'm not alone here. I can't tell you how many fucking times I'd play some kind of maybe even a story would tell me this, but I'm pretty sure it mainly came to me through multiplayer games. I used to play Halo a lot when I was a kid. And in Halo, we played like online or whatever. There's a limited amount of supply of guns, right? You and your friend. Oh, the sniper rifle. Oh, fuck. Yes, the sniper rifle. The gamer's weapon of choice. You both rush for it, and you ask your friend if you can have it. He said, yeah, sure. You grab it, fucking sacks you in the back of the head and takes off your fucking corpse. Or, I think, man, I didn't play Rust until way later, but Rust was kind of that same thing, where it's you build a house with somebody, buddy. Suddenly you've been fucking turned into a homeless man, bum on the street. And their amigo is sitting in your sleeping bag inside that house you built with them. Everyone talks about Diablo. I never really played Diablo. Pokemon was kind of like that. Got gypped out of trades. I used to play a card game called Chaotic. I don't think it exists anymore. I have so many Chaotic cards. I don't know. Let me know if you guys do too, or you remember Chaotic. It's like Pokemon, but like teenage level, where it's like, oh, this Pokemon's ripping the flesh off of this fucking character. Ooh, this one's like a ghoul or some shit. They were cool designs. I love them. But you make a trade with someone, they're like, oh, this one's super, super rare, and you just believe them because you're a fucking kid. Make the trade, and then you go back home and you look it on the internet, or I didn't fucking have. At that point, I had a white. Once again, I'm not that fucking old, right? I just had a really big dyno computer, big white one. And so I didn't really use the internet that much. So I'd go to Blue Nose. I would go to a card seller or dealer or whatever, and go and see if I could sell the card or get a valuation on the card, and then it would turn out to be shit, so I learned my lesson that way. Used to be silly bands. When I was a kid. Silly bands were these rubber bracelets that you'd wear, that when you placed them down, they'd be shaped like animals or some other shit. I think one of them was a hammer at some point. In school, people used to sell them and trade them. And it was also based on like rarity or whatever. And some kids used to put them in fucking like sandwich bags that were like fucking covered with black permanent markers so you couldn't see it. So it was like a little fucking treat. A mystery bag. Mystery block or whatever. And people used to trade that. I think that might have been another example of why I don't trust people. There's so many fucking instances of why my trust became like that. But honestly, video games can really teach you some shit like that. Probably some people might argue that's not the greatest mental health to have, is to not trust people. You know, like I trust doctors because I really don't have a choice. You know, like I can't say that they're 100% wrong unless what they're doing is just blatant fucking ignorant. You know, if I can say a doctor is wrong with 100% confidence, then that doctor's a fucking idiot. But I trust doctors. Once again, they have to prove it. You know, I'm not gonna test them on the spot, but you know what I mean. Let's go back to Twitter. Something I've been seeing lately. I'm an artist, or I would call myself an artist. I do commissions. If you want to hit me up for a commission, my Twitter is a good place to hit me up in the DMs. It's at jacko _ 2026. That's jacko _ 2026. And because I follow a lot of, I don't do animation really. Like, I'm pretty good. I've been getting better at doing animated pixel art, like GIFs, like looping GIFs. But normal traditional animation, I've taken class on it, but I'm not beyond like stop motion shit. I'm not that great. But I follow a lot of people on Twitter. They're animators. They're artists. So I get a lot of, you know, posts and everything. And one that I get a lot, and I feel like I see it at least 2-3 times a month, maybe, is about nitpicking old school animation or the reuse of animation. There are so many examples of a major company like Disney reusing animation cells or reusing basic tracing across multiple movies. And a lot of people get annoyed by this. There's a particular one that I want to talk about in a future video that I'm going to talk about now. As I mentioned before, Cowboy Bebop, which is a space neo-noir western anime that I really love that came out when I was a kid. I love it. If you haven't watched Cowboy Bebop and you don't really watch anime, or you watch a lot of anime, it's a good thing to watch. It's just a generally good show that happens to be animated. But there's a movie, which I believe falls between, actually, if I look at my notes, I can tell you what episode that falls between. In case you want to know, by the way, I have 14 parts of this monster review. Drifters only took 3 parts, and Cowboy Bebop took 4. So yeah, the movie, which is Cowboy Bebop Knockin' on Heaven's Door, it's apostrophe instead of a G, is between episodes 23 and 24. If you ever want to watch that chronologically, you buy on DVD. I believe it's available online legally, which I'd recommend. And I bring this up because that particular movie, I think, is brilliant. It's fucking amazing. It's good for a lot of the same reasons that the anime is good. Characters are great. The animation as well is really great. The story is really great. The world is fantastic. It feels alive. It feels like you can be a part of it. And there's a particular fight scene that is fairly important to the plot. And much like your traditional action movie or your traditional fighting scene, there's a choreographer and like lead with those scenes. And it turns out the lead for that scene is also the lead for a Naruto scene. I'm going to put the GIF on the YouTube channel right now that you can see what I'm talking about. It's the both scenes compared on top of each other. They're one-to-one Naruto is a 1-to-1 copy of this particular fight scene from Cowboy Bebop. Knocking on Heaven's Door. It's directed by the same guy. So your immediate reaction, or at least my immediate reaction, when I think of that, is, wow, what a fucking ass. Because essentially, what it seems like on paper is that this person is getting paid 2 times the amount for a single piece of work. Here's the thing, and why that's wrong, or at least incorrect. Animation is incredibly difficult. A lot of things are difficult. I will understand if you immediately think that that's not an excuse. Animation is underpaid. Another thing that you might not believe is a good enough excuse. And animation can take incredibly long periods of time. All 3 of those things put together results in situations like this, where you have the same scene being used twice. I'm going to show you what Disney does. It's called rotoscoping is what Disney does. They use they used to use live action footage. They draw over it. And they used to do that in the day and reuse it. For the same reasons I mentioned. You don't get paid a lot as an animator. It takes an incredibly long amount of time, even more back then. And the primary issue back then, it's got a limited supply. Like you can only put so many new fucking animations on a piece of paper or in your studio. You can't have new animations for every single fucking movie. You have to reuse it. You have to reuse some of them. So that happens. So I'm tired of seeing that shit over and over again, because it's super simple to understand. As long as you sit down, shut the fuck up, and listen to professionals when they talk to you and explain to you what the fucking whole issue and what's going on. I saw in Disney. I don't know. My first encounter was with Disney, and I understood it then, but then the Cowboy Bebop one was the one that kind of made me not really understand it, but now I do. Another thing I want to talk about, speaking of movies, it doesn't really happen as much anymore. I feel like around the time The Last of Us came out, Last of Us Part 1 came out, you'd see it every fucking day that game was getting an award after the game came out, where they talk about a movie or a TV show or a play or some shit. I'm sick and fucking tired of seeing movie adaptations of games or fan movie adaptations of games where they pick a fucking cast of characters. They're like, oh, this person looks like, stick to The Last of Us Part 1. Oh, this one looks like Joel. What I don't understand is, why don't you pick the fucking voice actor who 90% of the time is who they base the fucking character off in terms of personality, the way they look, the way they fucking walk, the way they talk, of course. It doesn't make sense to me. We have these countless fucking movies that are based on games, and they're always some fucking random schmuck or some big dog. They put a fucking wig and a new beard on or something like that and slap them into this character and make them do a voice that's all funny and everything. Why don't you just make them do the same thing again and make them do it on fucking in front of a camera instead of a bunch of CGI equipment shit? It doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand it. Someone needs to explain to me why they always fucking do this shit. It seems to me it would be incredibly simple, instead of going through the whole fucking tits and high castle shit to go and do interviews for all these people, when you can just be like, all right, give me the list, give me the cast. You don't even have to fucking ask anyone for the list. Go to the end of the fucking game and look at who voiced the videos, or voiced the fucking characters. Give them a fucking call and put them in your movie. It doesn't make sense. They look like the fucking characters already. You just slap some fucking makeup on them, boom, you're done. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, Paige is older than their character. I believe his character in the game. Doesn't mean that you can't put some fucking... You can still get Paige to play Ellie. I still think you can do that, even now. Like, it's been years. Paige is very... I think fairly older now than when they voiced Ellie. But I still feel like Paige can do it. Like, I don't understand that. There's got another thing I didn't understand. This is just personal. I didn't watch whatever the fuck that movie is, where they put on the 3D fucking goggles, the VR headset. I didn't watch that shit, whatever that's called. They're in the VR world. Whoa, VR chat's big. We'll make a movie off of this shit. They're fucking driving fucking fake cars in the shitty 2D Mario world or some shit. What? And then I bring that up because in that movie, The Iron Giant, one of my favorite movies as a kid. I love The Iron Giant. I watched it not that long ago. I think a year ago. Which is like, there's a huge gap between when I was a kid and when I watched it recently. Iron Giant is a fantastic fucking movie. They didn't make a second one because it didn't do well. It's a cult classic now, much like John Carpenter's The Thing. It was a piece of shit when it came out. No one fucking liked it. Now everyone loves that body horror shit, and so they get in tune with it. Everyone's like, whoa, why didn't they make a fucking another one? Or why did they do a remake of it? Because it was piss. It was fucking hot piss when it first came out. No one gave a shit. No one gave a shit about Iron Giant when it first came out. And everyone loves it now. It was in that fucking VR movie. And I watched the trailer for the new Space Jam. By the way, not enough grit. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Maybe in another podcast. I don't know. But fucking Iron Giant was in that. Why are they fucking putting Iron Giant in everything and not putting him in a movie? I bet you there's a fucking talk about there being a movie based on John Cena's character from that Suicide Squad movie. And someone was complaining. There's a big Twitter post about how every movie is a setup for another movie, and it's this vicious cycle that dude with the thick eyebrows that directed fucking Wolf of Wall Street talked about. Can't remember his fucking name. Dude with massive eyebrows. Fuck. I'm sorry. I just don't remember his name. I just remember what he looks like. And I believe that's true to a certain regard. If you want an explanation of why you shouldn't be pissed at that, it's because movies cost a lot. You won't go and see a movie that you don't like. Makes sense. Studio doesn't want to make a movie that you don't like. Makes sense. Studio doesn't want to waste a shit ton of money on a project that won't work. Makes sense. They want to make money. You want to make money. Set up a movie within a movie. That's just how it has to be now. It wouldn't be like that if there was more interest in like shitty, like, oh, people like, for example, the new I almost called it Monsters Inc. What the fuck is that movie called? The Godzilla vs. Kong movie. Monsters Inc. But in CGI is what I call it. So that fucking movie, that's the monster genre. That shit's been dead as a fucking doorknob for decades now. I know that there's all kinds of Godzilla and Kong movies that came out. They're not that great. But because people aren't paying to see that movie and aren't paying fucking glorious sums to, put their hand into that arguably dangerous market, because it's not mainstream Hollywood to have a fucking radioactive lizard and a massive monkey fight. That's not really Hollywood. Because no one's putting their money in that. You end up getting these movies like Suicide Squad or Avengers or whatever shit like that, where it's just a movie setup of a movie setup of a movie setup of a setup. That's just because that's what we buy. That's what us, the consumers, buy. Fuck it, I can't remember what I was talking about. But yeah, the Iron Giant was in that. I just think it's insane. I hope that all this setup with the Iron Giant all the fucking time means that we're gonna get Iron Giant movie at some point. Please, if you're listening, for some reason, if there's a director listening to this, for the love of God, traditional animation is fine. Not everyone wants to see every fucking pore on some character's greasy fucking forehead. I just want to see if the fucking original source material is a 2D animation. Continue with the 2D animation. It has nothing to do. You're not really improving anything. You're just. There's no. I can't remember who fucking said this. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel. Just realign it. You know. There's no reason to fix something if it ain't broke. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense. I don't know. I hope they come out with another Iron Giant movie. If you haven't watched Iron Giant, I doubt they still sell DVDs, but you can find it online for sure. Watch it. It's worth watching. If you got kids, you know, your kids aren't teenagers, watch it with them. It's a great movie. I remember I watched it on a VHS in my basement with I think with my cousins or my friends or something like that. I don't know. It was a really long time ago. I suddenly have a very vivid memory of lying down on the shitty couch that we had, watching on a big TV that we had on wheels, and putting the VHS into it. Once again, I'm not old. I just have experiences of an older world. Yeah, we're gonna end this podcast soon, but I want to round all the way back to that whole shit with the Game Grumps and talking about if you want to kill an online personality, and I use kill lightly. If you want to get rid of an online personality or idea or an opinion that's in the online world, my opinion is you simply don't talk about it. I want to tell you one of my favorite things in this world to do. I find it so fucking unbelievably funny for some reason. I can't even describe how funny I think it is, but I do it all the time. Here are 3 major things that might blow some people's fucking assholes open. Right? I've never watched or heard this dream person's fucking videos or what they sound like. Couldn't give less of a shit. I've never watched Attack on Titan. Even when it was fucking popular when I was in high school. Didn't even watch it then. And I've never seen Game of Thrones. Never even seen a single fucking episode. Not even a clip of it. I can't tell you how funny it is to me to think about everyone loves these things. I just don't know what they're about. And I intentionally do it. There's my sister had her boyfriend at one point over. And every time he was over, I refused to look him in the face. I would just walk by as fast as I could, pass by him in the hallways. I just thought it was so fucking funny. I couldn't help laughing to myself. I thought it was so fucking hilarious to think that this person is somewhat important within my family's life, and I have no fucking clue what they look like. Couldn't give less of a shit. I don't know why it's funny. Maybe one of you's a fucking doctor and can explain why I find that shit funny. I don't know. Maybe it's some form of sadism or something like that. I just find it how fucking hilarious. I think the Dream one is especially funny to me because there's all these things on Twitter about Dream. I don't know if they're he, a she, a they, a them. I don't know. So I'm just going to refer to them as a them and a they. Apologies if that's offensive to them. Not my intention. We see all these tweets. The hashtags blow up with Dream and Corpse or Dream and Saikuno or some other bullshit like that. And I just find it so fucking funny that people will devote their lives to this thing that I have no fucking general idea of what they are or what it is. I don't know what it is. I think it probably is a form of sadism because to me it's funny because I'm taking something that someone holds incredibly dearly, sometimes too dearly in my opinion, and just refusing to acknowledge that it exists. It's funny. I only ever do this with little things. Not a fucking... I don't do this with like racism or sexism and be like, if I don't look at it, it's really funny. That's not funny to me. It has to do with like an online like show or a movie or a character just being completely oblivious to something that's arguably trivial, but yet is still incredibly important for people. I find so fucking funny. Game of Thrones has always been funny to me. Thinking about there's every single fucking person I knew for the longest time was watching Game of Thrones when it was coming out, and I'd never seen an episode. Couldn't give a shit. I found that fucking hilarious. Same with Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan was so big, everyone talked about it. No fucking clue what was going on. Which is one of the main reasons I started the Explain series, really. I think it was around Attack on Titan and One Piece are kind of the reasons why I did the Explain series. So there'd be conversations in high school where people would talk about it, and I just couldn't be fucked. Could not give a single ounce of my fucking time to spend and watch this shit. I'm not some fucking book nerd, but I want to play video games. You know, read a book. I'm not gonna fucking like do my homework, get grades. I don't give a shit about this fucking anime shit you're talking about, but I want to be part of the conversation, you know? So that's why I started the Explain series in the hopes of being able to help many of you be able to converse with people, talk about subjects, be informed. And right now it's just hobby-based stuff. I'm not going to get political with it, at least not for the foreseeable future. Maybe further down the line, we'll talk about history stuff or whatever. I love talking about history. I have a plan to do a series talking about history. I want to start with Chernobyl. I think Chernobyl is kind of a meme within the Discord, so I want to start with that. But I don't know. If you're a doctor, a psychologist, help me understand why I think this shit's funny. I don't know. Dude, I have a feeling I have no idea what the thumbnail is going to be for this. I have no idea what I'm going to call this fucking podcast. But I have a very strong feeling that it's going to be some fucking meme on Dream and Game of Thrones and Attack on Titan. I just find that shit funny. Let me know if you guys have something like that where, you know, it's odd or weird in some way, but you find it incredibly fucking funny. You know, there's some people that laugh at like car crashes and shit like that. That shit's weird, but I understand it. You know, it's a level of discomfort that you just don't know what else to do, so you start laughing at it. I was talking to someone on Discord that didn't understand why people would laugh at a car crash. But it's, in case you don't know, it's discomfort. You just don't know what to do. But I don't think that my example of laughing at belligerently ignoring or avoiding contact with a certain thing, I don't think that is the same thing. I don't find myself laughing out of awkwardness. I think it's just, to me, it's just funny because it's so important to someone, and it would be super easy for me to get invested into it, and yet couldn't give a shit. Couldn't be fucked to do anything about it. Dream is, like I said, Dream is specifically funny these days because it's so they're a big character of some sort on YouTube or Twitch or whatever in the Minecraft world or some garbage. It's just funny. I don't know. I'm gonna put hashtag Dream in this fucking in the tags of this, of course. So if you're a Dream fan, I apologize, but honestly, it's just funny to not give a shit about your fucking idol in some way. And I think that I'm certain there's other people who think the same about me or will think the same about me. If some of you hold me in some high esteem for some reason. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. My name is Jacko -2026. You can find me on Twitter at Jacko _2026. That's at Jacko _2026. I want to remind you that this podcast can be found on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify. It's everywhere. Look for it. The Kingdom Podcast. You can find it anywhere and everywhere. And you can find links to everything mentioned in the description and pinned comment of this YouTube video if you're watching it on YouTube. Apologies if this video or this podcast seemed a bit off the rails. I think that, in my opinion, podcasts that are like this are a little bit more fun. You know, I listen to podcasts in the background when I'm doing work. I don't know. There being an array of topics that may or may not have a connection is fun to me. You know, it's like a spider's web. Anyways, let me know what you guys want me to talk about, maybe. Leave some comments. I'll read through them. And like I said, the next video should be on Hunter x Hunter, and then after that, a director's cut of some sort. Or a Redux. Probably a Redux. So, yeah. I'll see you next time. You'll be getting another podcast later this month for April. So I'm going to try and do 2 a month now. Can't give you a specific date now, but a good idea would be to stay in tune with me on Twitter, because I'll tweet stuff there, and I'll also mention stuff on the Discord. Anyways, have a good one.